Hello, and welcome to a Scottless episode of The Grid.
Scottless, which means we're going to be on track for the whole hour.
Yeah, we are sticking to the schedule.
Hi, folks.
So we got Moose Peterson here. You're in town. You're doing some classes, and you're in town for another project. We might get into that later.
Yeah, I've started a whole new project. Literally started today, and it kind of brings into the topic we're going to talk about, the self-assignment.
Awesome. Yeah. Our topic today. So this topic today is the self-assignment for learning and income.
Yeah.
So you're going to go over like what is a self-assignment, how to use a self-assignment to learn, and also to generate income. So that should be interesting. But before we get to that, we got to get to all the business, because we got to get all the business done, right?
Have a direction in a grid. It's like shocking to the system.
So we'll get right through it. But
okay.
anyways, why is Scott not here?
Scott's
not here because he's at a seminar. He's over in Richmond, Virginia right now. So.
Oh, that's right, Lightroom.
Yep, he's at the Lightroom, and he's in Nashville coming up. Nashville, LA, San Francisco, and Seattle. So if you're in any of those cities, KelbyOneLive.com. You can go there, check them out all day.
And good timing with the new Lightroom Mobile update to be taken out and checking Scott's class.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he goes over that, and I was watching his seminar. We had the seminar, and we had done one in house a couple weeks ago, and the stuff that he was going over in that seminar, I mean, it really was worth it. I mean, I learned a lot, in how to use Lightroom, so it was really cool.
And seeing him live had an advantage, because normally when Scott and I talk, it's on the iPhone. So the iPhone, you're doing the mouse track, and it's a great presentation.
So another thing we had last week, that gallery. So we had the gallery with Melanie Kern-Flavilla.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
She did a great job.
So if you want to check that out, it's still up, KelbyOne.com/gallery-webcast, and you can go check it out. She did a really awesome job, the interview, and I think we could probably touch on that later, which she's a classic example of a self-assignment.
And where self-assignments can get you.
is self-assignment, right?
You can see it in her interview with Larry.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Great example.
So another huge announcement for Moose, new book.
Oh!
You just came out, or you've got a new book. We just went to press on it. There it is.
Take off. Yes.
Yep, the Alpha to Zulu of aviation photography, right?
Yep.
So this is like a book about everything to do with aviation photography, right?
So, yeah. You could say it's the subject is aviation, but I'm talking about everything from light and relationships with the subject, telling a story, the business side. I mean, so you could if you took out the word plane and put in a person or wedding or landscape, you could adapt everything that's in this book to any genre, but it's very aviation specific. So there's some really cool things we've done you've never seen when it comes to education for aircraft. There's examples, for example, about propeller, how to get propeller. There's a chart, and it just went over the top. It's been a lot of fun. Cool. And it's basically, we did it all in about 10 months.
Yeah, and it looks awesome. I was looking through it, so it looks awesome. And you can go pre-order it already, right?
You can go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Oh, Amazon. I like Amazon.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Look at him glow.
Yeah,
Amazon.
I love Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
have a drone delivered to your front door. It'd be apropos.
We got a couple shout outs here. Let's see. We got Cheeky Nando all the way from Portugal over there. He says, good afternoon, evening, everyone.
Portugal. That's cool.
Yeah. So who else? We got Nance. Hey, all. I made it. Deb's here.
There's
Steven, Tom.
And
Piotr from London.
He's on all the time, though.
Yeah. And then Johan's here.
Loopy Bridge. Hey, Loopy. I love it. And then Artist One. Hey, people from the forum. KelbyOne has a great community forum. I just started getting involved the last month.
I've seen you in there.
Yeah. So it's been really cool. So good to see some of you folks tuning in.
We got Austria there, or we got Switzerland, Austria.
That's amazing.
All over Hungary, Sweden, UK. Wow, everywhere.
So just a little piece of history, just to, when we first, Scott and I talked about doing Kelby training back in the day, right? So it was a decade ago. And we went over to a little park with a little camcorder to create the very first class. I don't think either one of us had an idea that we would have the point where we would have people literally from around the globe sharing this thing called photography. It's way cool.
Yeah, that was actually one of my things was, that we are approaching the 10-year anniversary
Yeah, I know.
of KelbyOne, or Kelby Training KelbyOne. And you were the first
Yep.
on-location shoot we ever did.
Yes,
I
first guinea
remember,
pig.
you know, it was me and Jason, and that's what we were editing. I edited that class, I remember. Yeah, it
So-
was way back in the day.
To bring you up, because you guys are all really very faithful KelbyOne class watchers, and grateful for that. But just to give you a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So we were going to do a thing on landscape photography, right?
Yep.
And it was brand new, hadn't done it.
Yep.
And we're going to put a whole lot of money into it because you had no idea, right?
Yep.
It was just like, so I said, sure, I'll come down, we'll do it. We went to a park not too far up the road, right?
Yeah.
So Scott says, well, put your ideas on a whiteboard, you know, and it'll help you do it. I go, okay. And so I get my gear and I put it on a picnic table, have a whiteboard, and trying to get the lighting, and Scriver's trying to get things going, and we're about to, you know, got mic'd up, doing the sound check, just about ready to start the whole thing. Here's
Yeah.
and this guy, this little 90-year-old guy, this drive lawnmower comes out of the shack to mow the state park where we're trying to film. And we're like,
right where we're trying to film.
yeah, not gonna work. So we went to
Yeah.
Montana for that
Yeah,
class.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I remember that was the first on-location class we ever did.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Yep.
So, and I was watching it the other day, and the stuff that we were filming then is totally relevant now. It's great.
And that's probably the best thing about photography is
Yeah.
the fact that the core basics, once you understand them, they grow with you forever and they don't change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's really important to understand.
Yeah. So, some other announcements to get through. Photoshop World 2018 is open. Signups are open for it. It's May 31st through June 2nd of next year. It's at the Hyatt Regency. So this year, you know, we were staying at the Hyatt, but we had to walk through the Hyatt
right.
and go over to the convention
Down,
center.
around, up, and
But
through.
how was that at Hyatt Convention
That
Center?
was cool.
Yeah.
I just like
So
the-
we said, we need to go there.
Yeah, not only is it travel time, but the rooms are great.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah.
that should
And
be fun.
Isn't there an early bird special right now?
There is an
for
early bird
you
special.
guys?
If you are a KelbyOne or an alumni too, watch out for your email because I think they're sending something out this
So
week too.
just so you know, yeah.
Yeah, so it should be cool. Another big announcement is the new KelbyOne app. So we have a new app built from the ground up. It has taken forever to do this app because we literally rebuilt it.
Yeah.
You know, because we just couldn't use it, and it has actually been released. Get this, for Android. So we have the
Wow.
Android version out already. You can go get it right now if you have an Android device. The iOS is held up in approval. So the Android's been
shock.
approved, but
What
the
a
iOS
shock.
is held up in approval. Yeah.
Cool.
So, and a big shout out to the community because they were the ones who helped us run it through all the beta.
Yeah.
So everybody in the community really stepped up. You know, helped us out with troubleshooting any issues. You know, it has the ability to take classes offline. There's no limitations on the classes offline. You can do everything in your membership right through the app now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a really cool app. Now, of course, we're always, you know, fixing stuff with the app. So if there's ever anything, you know, you just go to the community. I think Adam has a thread in there, you know, our web director, and you can go and just, you know, if there's any problems, we'll address them there. So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
And people, if you're not on the community, it's growing and growing and growing. It's a really great resource for everything you can think of and all the esoteric stuff you can't think of. So, you know, that's
Oh,
right
yeah.
there, you know, on the web page, click on top corner, go right in, talk. It's
I
great.
know, it's awesome. I mean,
And-
and that's what, Moose
Yeah.
is there.
I try to get there as much as I can. There's some really, really good conversations. There's people asking, you know, one of the things about photography that photographers don't realize that one of the biggest challenges is knowing the question to ask to get the answer you need. You know, sometimes you just don't know what you should be asking to get the answer. And the forum's a great spot. You can put it up there. You're kind of anonymous, and you've got a wealth of people helping you.
Yeah.
And you can move forward.
And what's really cool is, like you said, you can pop in and out. Like, I know if I start tracking a topic, it'll then email me if I keep the setting on. So like if somebody mentions in a topic that you've been talking about, Moose, then it'll come to Moose and you'll say, hey, you know, somebody's talking with you. So it's really cool.
Well, that's one of the cool features because you first launch it, your little Imicon's at the very top right corner. And if there's nothing there, then you know that no one's responding to what you've done. Otherwise, there's numbers.
Yeah, there's
Top
those
on it, and their
notifications.
menu pops down, you click.
Yeah.
So you can really, if you want to just stay active with a conversation, you can do it really quickly. If you want to
Yep.
take your time and learn whatever, so it's
Yeah, you can browse
kind
the
of-
topics, but that top notification is really cool.
It's
Yeah.
making it possible for me to be there because
Yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah,
I just don't
you get
have,
lost,
I don't have
right?
time to do it all. You know, yeah.
I would be the same way.
So it works well.
Look at so we had Melanie from the gallery. She's in there saying, "Hey,
Melanie,
game."
outstanding,
Yeah.
nice job, great images, well done.
Yeah, and then Loopy's asking, do we have to download the new K1 app, or will there be an update if we already have it? If you have obviously the Android version, it's all brand new, so you'd have to go download that. The iOS version, we are working to where it's going to be a new update for the app. So that's what it's kind of, like I said, held up and do a little bit of that. But, it's going to be up soon. It's just sometimes it gets caught up with Apple and their approval process. So,
And cool, Dalton's already signed up for PSW. That's outstanding.
yeah, there you go, Dalton. Yeah.
Hey, Jason, you can go back and renew.
Yeah, definitely.
We're not going anywhere. KelbyOne's going to be here for a long time, so yeah.
And Artist First, she was one of the people that helped us out with the beta. She said the new app is fantastic, guys. I had no issues when testing it. Great job.
Cool.
Yeah, and shout out again to all the people that helped us, because that was a big help, because that allowed us to get it to the point where we're hoping that we won't have those major issues.
And ours one's a really great resource on the community.
Oh yeah,
she's there
she's
a lot.
always in there
So,
answering questions.
yeah.
So, another big one, another big announcement: Photo
Yeah.
Walk. Photo Walk site's up.
Oh my gosh, is that time of year already?
Yeah, it's the Photo Walk time of year.
Where did the year go?
If you're a previous leader, you should have an email to register. If you're a previous leader, next week we will open up new leader registration. So you should have something because you're a previous leader.
I didn't see one, but
Yeah, you
it
got to
could be there.
check your folders, because sometimes
I'll
it
look at
goes
my
in
spam
folder, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Scott's name's on it. That's where it
Yeah,
goes.
exactly, right?
It's safer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, go and sign up to be if you're a previous leader, sign up to be a leader. If next week, previous leader sign up, and then after that, if you want to walk, just go check out a city and sign up. So,
And for those
should be
who
really
don't know
cool.
what it's about,
Yeah.
the photo walk is a great thing. That it's 8th year, 9th year,
10th year.
10th year. Oh my gosh!
Mm-hmm.
And it's around the world. And basically, what you do is you're gonna, wherever you live, there's gonna be a walk there. You can go to that walk if you want to lead one. There's a spot on the website that you can propose one, and then you get 15, 20, 30 like-minded people, and you go out and you have fun, and you take pictures. And then afterwards, you go and drink a little, eat a little, share those pictures, which really, when it comes to photography, is what it's all about. It's exploring it all
awesome.
together, having fun, taking pictures. It's a great event. And then there's always going to be the contests.
Yeah, I know. That's what,
Man,
there's
there's
like a laundry list of stuff you can win, and there's a bunch of different competitions. This year we have a new competition just for youth. So there's just Canon sponsored a youth competition.
For youth shooters?
Yeah, well, Canon's the
Right.
sponsor. And,
But it's not taking pictures of kids, but
no,
actually kids
youth.
taking
Like
pictures.
this is people 16 and under
Oh,
that
perfect.
can enter, and they have a whole category just for youth. So it's really cool.
So some of you maybe leaders out there, there you go. Think about, getting a walk going
Yeah.
just for kids.
Yeah, well, I was on
about fun.
So I led a walk last year. I was just happened to be. I was on vacation, right? So
Yeah.
we were down in the Bahamas actually. So I led a walk through Nassau, Bahamas, and we had
Sweet.
like 4 kids out there.
That's great.
And they were really
That's great.
good. They were really good at shooting. I mean, it was really fun. So
That's great. There's that's an important thing to get young people thinking about it, involved. And I don't know about you folks, but often cameras that I have that are no longer, you could say, mainline. They're now old. They're 6, 8 years old. I hand them down. We find kids, we hand them down. It's important to instill the passion at a young age. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So very cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
And that's what we want to do. You want to pass on the knowledge to the younger kids.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna do today. So let's get to it.
You call me old?
No, I'm not
Thank
calling
goodness.
you old, but I'm calling you imparting knowledge to the younger people.
Imparting knowledge.
Yes. So we probably should take a break though, and then we can jump right into the subject. So the
Okay.
subject being self-assignment.
Self-assignment.
So why don't you just tell people just a quick thing about like what you want to talk about?
So most people, they have this romantic idea of what someone like myself does for a living. You know, I've been doing it for 40 years. But when I tell them I've never had someone come up and say, hey, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars to go do something, I've never had an assignment. Everything that I've done, all the pictures that I have come from self-assignments. And in that process, you learn how to feed that passion, learn from your mistakes, and make money from it. And that's what self-assignment, especially what I was taught, that self-assignment was all about back in the day.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll dive right into that topic.
You know, doing this on track is going to really screw up my mind.
I know, it's going to mess me up, too.
It's, woo.
Yeah.
Come back. We're on time.
We'll see you in just a second.
Okay, have you seen the new version of Lightroom Mobile? It is off the chain. You know what's so great about it? It looks like Lightroom on the desktop. So there's been Lightroom Mobile for a long time, but now it looks like the desktop. It's got sliders, and it's like you edit like you always edited, and it's awesome because whatever you do on your desktop goes right to your iPad, and it goes right to your iPhone or your Android phone, and you can just edit anywhere and have this Lightroom experience anywhere you go. And I know what you're thinking, but I miss the adjustment brush. No, it's here now too. What about the radial tool? And now it's all in Lightroom Mobile, and it's awesome, and I want to teach you the whole thing. Come with me. You're going to learn the whole thing from the ground up. It's so easy because you already know how to use Lightroom. We're just going to take it and apply it to the awesome new interface. I'm going to teach you all the new tools. You're going to love it. It's going to change the way you work with Lightroom. You're going to extend Lightroom's power in a way you never thought you could. And it's only here at KelbyOne.
Hey folks, Christy from Shark Pixel here, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you a brand new class all on retouching wedding images. You're gonna learn things like how to remove that terrible strapless dress issue that so many brides have. We're gonna be removing specific elements from images. I'm gonna teach you how to remove hard elements from an image and easier elements from an image. And then at the end, we're gonna take care of those terrible tan lines and sunburns. So check out my new class only on KelbyOne.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Hansen, photographer and director. My transition from chef to photographer started when I was a private chef. I Googled photography training and up came KelbyOne. Learned about how to use a strobe, how to run your business. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. That first step for me was KelbyOne.
So Steve's got a question there about if I'm going to be leading a photo walk.
Yeah.
I led one last year. It was the first time up at Mono Lake. So I have to look at the old calendar. I gotta. That's the worst thing for me is that time thing.
Yeah, that time thing.
So
right?
I'd love to do it. I have to look at the. If I do, you'll see it on the website, and on my website, and of course here at KelbyOne.
Yeah, but it is important to make time to do kind of those things that like we're talking about today.
It is very important.
Make time to do stuff that you're experimenting. That's the one thing with like a self-assignment. I know I've done that personally. You know, with me too, it's been more, you know, some video work and stuff like that, but stills as well. And, you know, it just gets you like thinking outside that box. I think that's the key.
Well, there's the first word that the whole process is thinking.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Where you get too repetitive, right? You get like kind of like, you know, in ruts or too repetitive or.
Well, you know what a rut is, right?
Yeah.
It's a grave with the ends knocked out.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So then you're going to bury yourself. So you don't want to get in a rut.
Exactly.
You know, the self-assignment, when I started out, when I was 16, 17, and the instructor said, you know, you need to have self-assignments. You need to constantly give yourself those. I'm like, and we had what they call an idea file. And magazines, you would see a picture you like, and you'd rip it out and you put it in the idea file. And then when all of a sudden creatively like hit a wall, you get the idea file out and you look at those pictures and you'd say, here we go.
Right.
Glenn Dewis, you know, his new book, basically new, you know, Steal Like a
Thief. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Same kind of idea. And the purpose of it is, you know, with anything we want to do, muscle memory is important, which includes the one between our ears. So the self-assignment, you have to think about the photograph you want to take, right? Mm-hmm. And that could be a single photograph. It could be a series. It could be a story. So in my case, it's always going to be that story. I'm going after what we call projects, another word for stories. So we just started one today. And it started no more than dear friend Kathy from here that knew somebody, and she introduced me to that person, and he said, yeah, we talked, and he said, yeah, I'm doing this, and instantly because of all the self-assignments I've done up to that point in time, when he said those certain words, I'm off to the races. I'm like, okay, we can sit there and we can do still coverage, we can do articles. More importantly, we can do a documentary that we'll take later on to a bigger market, which is what we're doing a lot of now. But before you bite that off, you have to start with that single one, that simple one, and you have to start thinking it through. First of all, the most important thing is it something that excites you, right? The self-assignment has to be, you know, I see some of those out there, and I don't want to make fun of those, but, you know, taking on people's challenges, if it doesn't excite you, then...
Yeah, that's a big one for me, too. It's like it has to be something you're passionate
Right.
about or that you believe in, yeah.
Right, that tweaks your interests. Now, if the end goal is success and money, self-assignments will always probably be disappointing to you. Self-assignments, a lot of them go down in flames. And you never see my self-assignments go down in flames.
If it's focused on, I get what you're saying, focused on success and money,
that's your measure.
You're good. Yeah, it's almost going to stifle the creativity in there. Where I've seen some of the best self-assignments that I've seen has been just somebody like having fun with it, and then you look at their work and you're like, wow, how did they do that? Well, they did it because they were just doing it for fun.
But to me, some of the best self-assignments totally failed. Because from that failure, so much is learned.
Oh, yeah.
That you can grow on next time. And I talk to a lot of folks about, you know, writing articles. People go, how do you write all these articles? Well, a lot of times it's because I go out on a self-assignment, and in that process, I learn something. And that learning, that growth, majority of the time comes from a failure more than a success.
Oh, absolutely.
So without that direction, right? And why did I want to use this for a topic today? I think a lot of photographers are out there looking for their self-assignment, but they don't know how to label it as a self-assignment. They don't know how to start it. And they don't know how to, most importantly, finish it. And those are all things that when I started out, that's how you did it. Because we didn't have the web. You didn't have videos. You had to read a book, and there was no KelbyOne community. There was no bulletin boards because there's no computers, right? That you had to be your own everything, all the KelbyOne, all the videos, you do it all your own.
Well, and I definitely agree. Like it's probably easier today to, get input and knowledge from other people and pull from those resources. However, even with those tools, being able to practically apply that and being able to put that into practice is the step that a lot of people miss. They think, well, I can just watch this or I can just, do this. But actually going physically out and doing it and applying it, that's where the learning clicks, right? That's when, with me at least, that's how it's been. It's like when I actually apply it.
But the learning clicks because you are your best teacher.
Right.
I mean, getting advice from everybody else is okay. Right. And it's part of the, especially when you hit a wall, it's an important part of the process. But you're going to always be your best teacher. You're going to be your hardest critic. You're going to be the one that's going to measure success and failure that pertains to you better than anyone else. So my good friend Joe McNally, I don't know how many times I've gone out with him and seen him light with little flash, many, with lots of them doing stuff. And I watched him do his work, and then we had to do a commercial shoot last week, and I had to use 8 SP5000s. And I don't do it all the time. It's not something that comes naturally. I have to think about it. I mean, when I start putting all those flashes out there, I have to stop, and I have to look, take a picture, and I look, and it's just like you can smell the smoke, right? The gears are grinding. But before I went there, I drew it all out on paper, so I knew my subject, I knew my storyline. I figured out the shot process, shot 1, 2, 3, had all that out there. And then because I'm really paranoid I was going to go down in failure, and I couldn't, I actually went out and did everything a dry run the day before. So my lovely family got to be models and stand in place, their favorite, come on, Dad, let's get this over with.
Oh, this sounds familiar. I do this all the time.
So then the last day, when I had those 4 hours with, the tornadoes and my models, I could sit there and go through the flashes and go through it. So I had a self-assignment really for 3 days to get to that final photograph, to get to success.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, there's nobody you can text, there's nobody you can call when you're doing that and say, this is screwing up, what am I doing wrong? So if you don't have that inside of you, that knowledge, how are you going to get that answer?
Oh
Right?
yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, this is I mean, and that's again, that's a big thing, is the application. So let's go back to that Moose when he was 16 and just starting out these self assignments without the internet.
Yeah.
So that kind of dates you a little bit, but we'll say, it was a little
Thing
while
about,
ago.
if people even know what that means.
Right.
Because shooting 4x5 cameras and sitting
Yeah.
there dunking and develop your 4x5 film in a darkroom.
Yeah.
I go back that far.
So
Yeah.
what were kind of some of the first self assignments that you did when you were starting out? Because I think they'd still be relevant today.
They're still very relevant. Very relevant. So most of the self-assignments I started with, because I'm a wildlife photographer, were with critters in a particular species. And the process was, I found one that intrigued me, which really isn't hard for me to do because they all intrigue me. And I would find ones that economically I could reach. So in other words, I didn't fly to Africa or Alaska. I went to my backyard, and from there, probably the first ones were hummingbirds, nesting hummingbirds. And the first big challenge was how to light them. When I started out, TTL flash, totally brand new. I had to sit there and I had to solder cables together to get multiple flashes to talk to the computer
Right.
and figure out the whole, because they didn't do it like today. So I had to make that all work, and then I had to figure out how I could get that in place safely. And then, of course, the light itself, just because it was TTL didn't mean it was great light. So the self-assignment was finding the nest, figuring out how to work the flashes, make that technology work, then actually go in place and take the pictures. So the self-assignment was, for me, has always been multi-layered. It's never been, I'm gonna go out and photograph, a flower today, which everybody knows me, I don't do flowers anyway, but that was never what the self-assignment was. And my self-assignment.
That's okay sometimes if that is your self-assignment. Like, at
course
least
it
you're
is.
trying to apply, you're doing something to apply. Yeah.
When I tell people when they hit a wall, and I said, just take your camera and just hit the motor drive, let it rip. And they go, huh? I said, just let her rip. Don't let her point anything, just let her rip. And they go, and I said, we're like Pavlov's dog. You feel the vibration, you hear that sound, and all of a sudden your brain goes, and it just clicks off, and you start going. Questions?
So Johan's over here, he's saying, if I do a self-assignment and it's for fun, even if I made some terrific photos, then what?
And then what is a great question. The answer is real simple. You share them. We're photographers, right? We're storytellers. Storytellers only get to be a storyteller if they tell their story. So photographically, you've got to share them. Hey, right off the bat, KelbyOne community. I mean,
Yeah, that's a great
it's
place.
Click and you share them. It's real simple. Now, if you're sharing, just from my point of view, if you're sharing a picture to get a bunch of people saying, I love it, you're wasting yourself's time. You're wasting that photographic effort.
Yeah, you want
'Cause-
honest feedback, right? Yeah.
Well, if you can't affect some sort of change, if someone to say, hey, I never saw the world that way, or wow, I didn't know that was a problem, or, I need to go to that place, then that photograph, right, is just there.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, the landscape photographer, you don't want a picture that says, I was here. You want a picture that
You wanna
says, you've got to
convey
be
the
there.
emotion, yeah.
You got to get them involved. So if you put a photograph up there and people say, I love it, to me, it's a failure, because somebody needs to say, I need to go there, or that's really cool, or what's the backstory?
Well, that's kind of what Loopy's saying. I can't
Loopy!
say how grateful I am for the input I've gotten from the community on my photos.
Okay, so you get that feedback from the community. You don't stop there. It sounds kind of goofy, and being an economic major, that was, I think of the dollars and cents when it comes to this stuff. But, in photography, you like anything else, it takes money to make money, right?
Oh, yeah.
So in this process, if you're truly trying to expand your photography and move it forward, you've got to get a bigger audience of feedback. And while I love you photographers, you're really not the best feedback for other photographers. You need the general public who just looks at something and just point blank takes it for what it is. They don't look at noise or f-stop or what camera brand. They go, oh, that's a really cool rock in the middle of nowhere with neat light, and they just look at it. So the longer somebody looks at your picture, the bigger the compliment.
And I think that's a good point to make to photographers, is that sometimes we have to kind of step back and kind of not overanalyze stuff. I know I do that all the time.
Photographers love to pick things
we're
to
like,
pieces.
oh, look at the noise there. Look at how this was lit. But at the end of the day, if people love it, if people get moved by it, those things didn't matter.
Then you got the brass ring.
Yeah, so we kind of have to step back sometimes and kind of look at it, you know, and not critique it just for the technical, but actually critique it for the emotional response or the feeling that you get from looking at the photo.
And that's all part of the self-assignment.
Yeah.
And you know, he said, what do you do next? After you put it on the web and the community and you do those things, where do you go? You actually buckle down and you spend some of your own money and you make your own one-man show and you take it to your local coffee shop, restaurant, and you say, I would love to hang this on your wall for a month. And then you put it on the wall and then you sit there in the corner and you watch people's reactions to your photographs. And you sit there and go, because I did this, and you sit there and they go, yeah, they went by that one really fast. Wow, they stopped and looked at that one for a long time. And you start teaching yourself what the people want. Now, where do you take it from there after you spend your money? Well, then, as far as I'm concerned, with that information, you go editorially. You take it to the magazine, where then you're going to get to work with photo editors who are the best on the planet when it comes to not only looking at a photograph and saying, hey, this photograph works, or hey, this one really blows chunks. And you'll say, why does it work? And they'll say this and this. And if you're expecting a big, long sentence, forget it. They're going to say rock, tree, you know, and you have to then take that information and figure out why it worked or didn't work. And that's, again, part of the self-assignment and how you grow and make money from this.
Yeah, so it is that progression. If you haven't started out with any self-assignments or done any self-assignments, there's tons of stuff you can do just to start out. I mean, I know some of the things that I know I've done is I've challenged myself to, like, I'll stand in one place. I got to make photos in one place, you know, because you know, sometimes it's just challenging. Like, especially for video, one of the things I used to do was different angles or perspectives.
Oh yeah.
That I would challenge myself to not shoot direct on, because that's, you know, what we always do. We always shoot direct on. It's like, how can I get this camera as low as possible? How can I get this camera as high as possible? And that's before we had drones, and now you can get them really high. But or even like you can get them really high with your stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but with that, you know, you could do like I do out a lot of times and shoot with old equipment. You know, literally to kind of challenge myself to, you know, or hide my viewfinder or my review, the screen behind, so I couldn't see. So it's like I was back in the film days, you know, because that kind of challenges you to, you know, to kind of think about it different.
Yeah,
exactly.
People chimp too much anyway.
Yeah.
Well, so, you know, on that same thread, people buy new gear all the time. And what I tell people when they buy something new is to marry yourself with it for at least 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
And shoot nothing but with that. And that's a self-assignment right there. What all can that lens or camera body do or not do? There's the great self-assignment. And you'd have no idea how many articles people naturally do and they don't ever put it out there to finish this. What do you do with the photographs? You tell the story. You get them out there. And in that, hey, you know, that's part of the process. Yeah, Kathy, I see the message.
So yeah, we got some comments. You know, we got,
hi, Sharon.
Bill is saying best suggestions for achieving emotional responses to your photographs.
Well, drama in photography comes one way, as far as I'm concerned. It has to do through exposure. So I'm always exposing for emotion, and that drama is how you get a response. So I'm not the guy that's going to look at a histogram and put it over the right, whatever that stuff is. I don't do that stuff at all. I'm going to expose to bring out the drama, and that's how you grab emotion.
And I look a lot of times at my stuff is the gesture. It's the emotion that the person's doing, because a lot of times I'm capturing people, you know, so or places that people are in, and it's the gesture along with that exposure. It's the classic J. Maisel thing, gesture, light, color. You know, it's kind of that triangle right there. That you know, it's a lot about, you know, what's that person doing. You want to look at that photo and want to be in the situation and want to be there.
Yeah, they've got to be there.
Yeah.
But you know, if you don't give yourself the self-assignment, then when those things happen in front of you,
you don't know. You don't know the timing and all that stuff.
So it's again muscle memory. And, you know, it's the self-assignment prepares you for that.
Practice makes perfect, right? I mean, it's practice makes perfect.
It's part of that, because the weakest link in the photographic chain is us. We're the weakest link.
Yeah.
So,
the more I
yeah.
shoot, the better I get.
Always.
The more I anything, the better I get.
And you got to say it to yourself. You know, Moose is doing self-assignments, and he's been doing this for 40 years. And he just started a new self-assignment today. Self-assignments must have something to them. I mean, that's how you keep growing.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that right now. I mean, I've got this one. So I'm, and I know Scott jokes around. I'm into certain subjects, and I really like certain subjects.
Right.
And one of them is I really love space. I really love rockets, and I really love all that stuff. And I am actually challenging myself right now to shoot rocket launches. I live in Florida, so it's a little easier because we're right down the street from the Cape.
I got something for you then.
Yeah.
We were with today the Hubble trainer from Houston that the astronauts trained on to repair the Hubble.
Oh, very cool.
And right next to it is the shuttle trainer, the simulator they use to fly the simulator.
Cool.
So if you're into space,
well, I
got
into all that stuff.
I got some space,
and I'm really into right now shooting these rocket launches. I've been doing that, and I want to get over to start doing the night ones where I can get some of those long exposures and
You
the
going up to
light
Kennedy?
streak. Yeah, exactly. And actually, I'm shooting. I got approval to shoot the press area for the. It's a SpaceX launch that's coming up.
okay.
Yeah. So
And you say shoot, you mean video, right?
no, stills.
Stills? You
yeah.
went back to stills.
Well, no, I do it all. I do video, stills.
So this
you know,
self-assignment
stuff.
is stills.
But this is stills because I want to get into how do you do that, and I know one thing about you, that when you get into a subject, you're like me too. You kind of learn everything about it. Kind of like I know that your aviation. When getting into aviation, it's like you jump right into it. It's like you're more like, even when you got into wildlife, it was more about knowing about the wildlife, the conservation of the wildlife. Then the photography is an extension of it.
That's how you share that knowledge.
Exactly.
And that passion.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that's where I'm like really getting into it.
That's
and
cool.
I love that stuff.
And it's just up the road.
Oh, yeah. It's great. But yeah, that's where you just got to keep on practicing, keep on doing it, trying different things. I'm trying something this weekend with one of the, we got the spotting scope, and I wanted to try to figure out. And I was like, let me go find something in Tampa Bay that's the same height as the tower, measure how many floors it would be, go about the distance away I'll be, and let me start framing up the shots so I know where my settings are and where I'm going to be, and just start giving myself like these practice assignments in order to practice up to what I'm doing.
That is the self-assignment.
Exactly.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's
the
like
one
process.
that I'm going through right now.
And that's how you do it.
And that's how you do it. Exactly.
And there's no place you could actually go read that, because you still need to go see that distance for
Well, yeah,
yourself.
you can read it all, and that's where you can
'Cause
get
it's
the
your
information.
story.
You can read it all you want, and people can teach you about the settings, but until you go do it, you don't know.
Perfect example.
And you have to apply it.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing, is the practice and the application of it. And that's big at KelbyOne here, It's great to watch the classes. It's great to get in the community. It's great to do all that. But you have to apply that knowledge. And we are working. I mean, we've talked about that internally, of like working at more ways for our members to even connect together and be able to practice and be able to apply it, because it really does.
Again.
It's such part of the learning process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a continual learning process.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have to take a break. Before we get there, we gotta get to some of these comments. So Joseph was asking about the Roku app. We did not do anything. The Roku app was something that would allow people to watch our podcast, and it went through an update. It just broke, and nothing ever happened with it. We'll revisit that. Along with the other question was the Apple TV. One thing with the new iOS app is that it allows you the ability to AirPlay to an Apple TV.
Sweet.
So then you can see it. And the other thing cool that they did, because with the old app, what it would do is it would kick you out of full screen, and then you have to go back for the next lesson. They've got it to remain at full screen for every video. So once you're in it, you then have to come out of it in order to get out of full screen. So that was one of the things we always heard feedback with people, is like, can I just stay in full screen? So they were able to work that out. So that's once that iOS app gets out there, and now it works in Android too. So if you have an Android device, you can go download it now.
About some shout outs. We got Journey watching for the first time. Hello and welcome. Esther from Hungary, and we've got Wolfie from Bavaria. Sweet chocolate.
And then you got Loopy. Bridget was saying, "My day is done. I just heard Moose say my name." Happiness.
Loopy, hey, I love that name. That's killer. I feel that way most of the time. We've got got Constant from Southwest Africa. That's amazing.
An artist first, giving you a shout out, thanking you for being in the community.
Oh, that's been my pleasure. Thanks for what you're doing there, artist.
And
Hector, close to Anchorage for wildlife photography. Hey, follow Campbell Creek from all the way from the bay and the inlet all the way up into the Chugach. Can't go wrong.
And Chris is asking something where Chris asking about I would still like a feature in the KelbyOne community to search for members in your area code and get together and either watch classes together or practice things, learn from. We are working on stuff like that.
That'd be cool.
We are working on stuff like that. I mean, it's just getting this stuff together and getting it. You know, it's like this app. You know, it's just like
if
stuff.
the folks actually knew all that KelbyOne people do here continually to grow,
right.
And all the ideas they got working on, that there's just not enough hours in a day to make it happen when we'd like to see it happen. So
along with making all the awesome content, you know.
Yeah, like my new book. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So. Well, we'll take a break because Meredith's gonna, flip out if we don't take a break soon. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back with more about the self-assignment. We'll probably I'd like to go into the income part of it now.
Okay.
And figure out, okay, well, how do you make some money off this?
Monetize. Everybody wants to monetize.
All right, so we'll see you.
Maybe.
In a little bit.
Howdy, folks. Moose Peterson here at KelbyOne with a class I think is just great for you. You could be saying, well, it's about buying camera gear. Kind of is. You could say it's about packing camera gear. Kind of is. You could be saying it's gear for specific tasks, specific storytelling that you need to know about. Because it kind of is. It's all those things and more. I'm going to talk about wildlife photography. I'm going to talk about landscape. I'm going to talk about aviation. I'm going to talk about the gear I use, how I pack it, how I get it on site, and then how I use it for specific photographs once I get there. So I've got it all here in one class just for you. So come and check it out only at KelbyOne.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Cross. I want to tell you a little bit about my new class on layers aimed specifically at beginners. So if you've struggled to really understand what layers are all about, this class will identify the key elements you need to know about using layers. Things like how many layers you should have, how to take full advantage of the layers panel, as well as key functions like layer masks, blend modes, layer styles, and more. So if you've struggled to get up to speed with layers, this is the class for you. So make sure to join me here exclusively on KelbyOne.
Hey, we are back here with Moose Peterson.
We made it.
Yeah, we made it.
Wow.
So before we dive into that second part of it, getting into the income, I do got some announcements on the KelbyOne front with new classes.
Eric's having so much fun, he forgot to follow his own
I know.
notes.
I didn't follow my outline, which you know me. I'm like, brr. Yeah. So we have a new class from Dave Cross. So Dave Cross did a new Mastering Layers Beginner Techniques class. So,
great teacher for it too. Outstanding.
And then next week we have somebody who did a class on light.
Oh yeah.
It's coming out next week. So,
outstanding.
Yeah, that class is coming out next week. And then one thing I was looking up, so we're talking about this subject, but Joe Glida did a class on this subject about the self-assignment for KelbyOne. So if you're a KelbyOne member, that's a good class to watch.
He always did a self-assignment.
He goes into, and he actually shows you, he does some self-assignments, goes through the process of the self-assignment, then shows the work. So it's really cool.
Well, and he does a great job of it and using it to help people stimulate their creativity.
So stimulating creativity is all great, but a lot of people want to know, how do you use this to monetize it? How do you use it to make income?
How do you make money from photography? The forever question, right?
Right.
Well, so to do it, do you want to make money so you can buy a new lens, pay the rent, or be self-employed? So there's the first part of the self-assignment. What level of income do you want? So people say, we got up here, it's gone now, but somebody said, how do I make money from it? Well,
Well, artists first, I think, right there. I like doing that, but I haven't yet found a way to make money
So-
from them.
so make
How do I
money,
do that?
but-
so artist first was asking, how do I do it? Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to say how much money you want to make.
Okay, yeah,
Right?
that makes total sense.
Okay, so let's take, for example, let's take the person who does the self-assignments into landscapes, right? He goes out and he travels to the national parks around his home, right? And then he makes big prints, and then he takes them down to the weekend art festival. You with me so far?
Yeah.
So if you look at the money side, because you want to make money, right? And if we're going to talk about making money, you have to be honest. So one, you bought the camera gear. Two, you bought the vehicle and the gas to go out and shoot those landscape shots. Three, you took the time to do that. Four, you made the prints. Five, you framed them. Then six, you have to spend 2 days in a booth to sell them. Are you making money? Right? If you add up all the expenses, you're not. So the first thing is, if you're going to make a business, you have to make it a business, okay? And then once you sit there and say, I'm going to make a business out of it, you start looking at the finances. So let's take an editorial piece, okay? So there's stock photography, right? And stock photography is you go out and you take a whole lot of pictures, could be self-assignments, and then you hope to place one of those photographs in a magazine to help illustrate an article. So you with me so far?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So how much does that one photograph, an article, how much is it going to pay you? What do you think? Quarter page. Now, if you don't know what a quarter page is, right off the bat, you've got an issue in how you make money because you really, right off the bat, don't know what's going on in the business of editorial. So a quarter page means that 1/4 of a whole page, your photograph is going to fill up that quarter page. So the average quarter page, okay, is going to pay you $75, one photograph. So think about it, right? Somebody will go, oh, that's a lot of money. Then again, your time, right? And then the biggest thing is, let's say you have the most incredible photograph on the planet for that article. How would that photo buyer know you've got that picture?
Yeah, you got to have it somewhere.
Right? So then you got more time to get it in that hole, okay? So if you want to make money from it, you have to look at it from a business side, even if you're not in a business. You have to think all this through. So let's just take the example of the editorial where I live, the magazine, right? If you try to do stock photography, trying to fill that hole that somebody else created in the article, you're going to hit your head against the wall 365, right?
Okay.
But what if you created that hole for that photograph and you have the photograph? Then instantly you're not trying to plug a hole, you already have a hole filled. What does that mean? You got to write an article, right? And as soon as I say that, most people go, well, I'm out of here. I can't
I'm
write.
not going to do that. I'm not a writer.
But articles are only 1,500 words now. This is 2 pages. 2 pages. And what are we doing with that article? We're going to take that article and use it as a means of getting our photographs published.
Yeah.
So instead of that one photograph for $75, you now have $500 for all the photographs and the text in that article. So now $500 probably gets your attention.
And this applies to in the online realm too, because
Everything.
you're talking about the traditional, print editorial, but online it's the same way. I know, there's so many people looking for great content, but you're right. They want the whole package. They don't just want the photograph. They need copy to go with the photograph. They need, stuff to, an article or even sometimes a video to complement the photographs, stuff like that.
Well, here's something that most photographers don't think about, and they need to, is the fact you're actually providing a service. You're not providing photographs. You're providing a service. That photo buyer, right? He's got a boss. He's not the boss. He's got a boss he has to answer to. So if that boss says, I have all these holes, and the photo buyer goes, hey, I just got this article and text package fits this hole, they're done. They move on. The problem is solved. You're the hero. Now, what does this self-assignment got to do? It means you have to have more than one picture. Your story is those photographs, right? And then you use those written words to create a hole in a magazine that those photographs fit. All that is a complete article package, and that's how it works. I average 6 to 7 articles published every month somewhere in the world, right? And if each one of them is a minimum of $500, it's not hard to figure out how you start making money from it. But here's the thing: if you don't start today, you'll never have tomorrow. It's guaranteed. Okay. If I send an article off today, So I got this here. I've got 3 articles out this month. One of them was shot and done last December. One was done a year ago, January, and then one was sometime last summer, right? So
Right.
they got printed now, and I did the work way back when, right? So it comes back to that, it takes money to make money. So if I didn't give myself the self-assignment, go out and shoot it, invest in it, and then find a home for it to get a payday, if you don't start today, you don't have the payday tomorrow. So in the world of photography, if you're looking for a quick return on your investment or your time, it's rarely going to happen.
Yeah, well, and I think that one of the things, like, you got to get your work out there, and display it, because that's how people find it, right? So you can't just, put it on your own site or put it on your own website.
That's one of the great myths that drives me nuts. Have a great website, they'll find you. I don't know a single photo buyer who goes, yeah, I'm going to look on the web today to see pictures for my next magazine article.
Right.
They don't have that time.
No.
They don't have the luxury time. You put it in their hands. So you want to talk about something that really gets me berserk when people write an article and they how to get published, and they go, send a query letter. You know what a query letter is, right? A very old term.
Yeah.
And they go, send a query letter.
You're really showing your age.
Oh, right? And you're sending a bunch of text on a piece of paper to someone who lives in a visual world. So they're going to look at this letter and go, oh, this guy takes great pictures because he has perfect grammar, right?
Mm-hmm. They don't care.
Trash can.
Yeah.
You want their attention, you send the written text and the photographs, and you make sure the text is buried and the photographs are up front. So you smack them right between the eye, not only that you have photographs, but with the quality and content of those photographs.
What about social media? Do you use that much?
So social media, when it comes to the editorial world where I live, does nothing really.
Yeah.
Unless it's something incredibly, the miracle of the Hudson, you got your cell phone picture, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. And the other problem is...
For your world, yeah, I could see that.
But if we're talking about making a quick dime and that's it for the whole year, probably works. If you're talking about an income stream, right, that you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to the bank and I can show this stream of income to get this loan, social media won't do it. So it depends, again, that when you say you want to make money, is it just a quick dime, or is it,
Yeah.
what is it you want to do?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things, I've noticed is that, again, you're applying your work, you're building. The other thing you're doing with the self-assignment a lot of times is building your portfolio. You're building your body of work,
And building your confidence.
Right.
There's another old saying in business, you can't sell from an empty cart. So when I started out, they used to say, and they're talking about slides now, you'd have to have 25,000 images in your files before you'd start going out there and saying, I'm a photographer. So you have a depth of files of images that, you can draw from. One of my mentors in the editorial business, he always told me you have to write from your files. So in other words, you have to have those photographs already taken before you write the article. You have to, you can't say it was a beautiful blue day and all you got pictures of rainy clouds. So all that goes into it. So when people say they want to make money, to me, there has to be, what do you mean by
Make money? Yeah.
Okay. And you got to understand that if people like McNally and Black and myself, we can sit there and do this for, been doing it for decades, it can be done. But understand, it's a 365, 24/7 proposition. I think stories, I think photography, I'm looking at all of that continually and looking at how to market that. People come on my workshops with me. I drive them nuts because we'll just do a shoot, that morning. And I'll sit there as we're driving back in the vehicle and I say, okay, what articles can come from that? And this is my advanced group of shooters. And they're like, oh, here we go again. Moose is going to have 5 articles. And I'll have 5 articles from that experience.
Right.
But you can't get to that point if you don't do that first self-assignment and the second one and the third one when you don't have the pressure of life.
Well, and I think, that's the other thing is like, you're coming from that side, from the editorial side and trying to, build it by, showing them what they could publish
But you got to realize that these don't come unless you have editorial experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. So,
but if you're wanting to also, just, increase your skills as a photographer, a lot of times what you can do is just take on a self-assignment that then somebody's going to be able to look at that work and go, wow, it's amazing. I want to hire that photographer because it's amazing what they can do.
Well, let's say you want to be a wedding
know?
photographer.
Yeah.
Let's pick on that for a second, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I wanted to be a wedding photographer, because I put myself through school doing weddings, the day I graduated, no more weddings for Moose. But that's
Right.
another story, okay?
Right.
I took two people, a guy and a gal, no tuxes, no dresses, and I took them to locations where I was living at the time in Santa Barbara, and I took them out for a self-assignment, and I started shooting those people in different locations. So I had a knowledge base. If it was a morning wedding, where am I going to do this? If it's an evening wedding, where am I going to do this? So the
exactly.
self-assignment was just two people looking at
Right.
them in lighting and putting no pressure on, packets or any of the rest of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start building up to when you have that wedding job, you have all that knowledge.
Absolutely, because that's a big thing is being able to, especially when you're in business. I mean, like you said, it's expenses. Time is money. If you got more things, if you're taking longer to do stuff, you're taking longer to post process, you're taking longer to edit your photos, you're taking longer to shoot.
There goes your payday.
Yeah, it's just you're shrinking your payday. So that's where it is. Like the more and more you practice, the quicker and quicker you get, the more efficient you get. And that's where, a lot of times doing those self-assignments help you to increase your efficiency. So if you're at that point where you're like, you don't have anything, go do something, and then next time when you do have something, you're able to do it faster and you're able to do it more efficient. And that's if you're doing it for money.
Right.
It's all about that efficiency and it's all
And-
about that, time.
Here's the thing about that money thing. I've seen more photographers stop being photographers because they put the pressure of money on it. Because nothing will take away your passion quicker
Yeah.
than trying to monetize your passion.
Right. Oh, I could see that, definitely. Well, I mean, that's a very interesting subject,
I think a lot of photographers have lost that very old way in which we taught ourselves. So I just wanted to bring it out again.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have to wrap up with a couple business items. Well, first, we have a giveaway coming up at the end. We didn't even go over because I got so excited again about all the giveaways, but we have the Platypod Ultra. So we got that. I don't know. Have you used the Platypod?
Not that one. We have that one in our video bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's really cool. I mean, it's just so small and lightweight. I mean, I've used this for getting my iPhone stuff.
Cool.
Stuff like that. But this one is awesome.
The big bad boy.
Yeah. That's like the workhorse right here.
We
The
put that in
Platypod
many
Max.
awkward places and planes to hold cameras for video, and it does a great job.
That thing, it's like a rock, right? And then you can also, this is the accessory system for it. So that goes, so you can have like little accessories for strapping it and all that stuff. So we're going to give away the Max, give away the Ultra. We also have a Lens Pro to go $50 gift card here.
And don't forget,
Yeah. Now the gift card, you have to be in the U.S. only. And then we have a
come on,
copy
Juan,
of
keep up. Come on, Juan.
the new book from
It's
Moose.
flying. Come on, Juan.
Take off. Meredith
Meredith,
flipped
boom.
off it. She's like, I'm not keeping up with that. So, new book from Moose, so we'll be giving that away. That, what did they say? Was it
End of August.
End of August?
Beginning
Yeah.
of September. Yep.
Yeah, so end of August, beginning of September. So, to enter the contest, you go to, what is that?
Look at your notes.
KelbyOne.com/contest. You go there, just tell us what you want to win. So if you want to win the Platypod Ultra, just say Platypod Ultra, tell us where you're from, and we'll pick the winners and ship them out to you. Let's see, we got Melanie
More notes too.
commented, I just feel like to sell images, you have to be a good salesperson. And that equals, look how awesome I am.
Nope. So, Melanie, have you ever seen a photograph in any magazine that sucked? Just one, right? There's your blows it out of the, there's so many. So right now, most people aren't taking up the business, but
I see her point, though. I see what she's saying.
if you've done a job, your photograph does everything. You don't have to sell a thing.
Yeah.
The number of times I get on a phone and
I think Jen's over there, too, going, yeah.
editorial, no. Wedding portraits could be different. Editorial,
Yeah.
you don't see the photo buyer. A FedEx box hits their desk.
There is part of it where you do have to be able to talk your work, or be able to have people Anyway, there's so much noise out there nowadays too.
I hate to tell you this, I don't.
Well, you don't.
I never. I
Yeah,
haven't.
you don't.
I
Moose
haven't.
Peterson doesn't.
No. Well, so you think Moose Peterson was Moose Peterson when he started 40 years ago?
No, Moose Peterson wasn't.
So
but-
back in the days, we'd have to get a slide page, and I'd put slides and we use white gloves and send them off and pray that my little slides would come back safely to me.
No, but you
There's-
are right about. I mean, the work speaks for. I mean, the work is
photograph is
your
everything.
best salesperson.
It is everything, yeah.
And that's like Melanie. I mean, you look at her work. I mean, her work's her salesperson. I mean, it's awesome.
Melanie, get on the KelbyOne community, put up a thread, and let's talk about this, because we're going to go off shortly. Let's talk about it offline.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd be
help you through
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Help you through it. And look, anybody can do it. So right now, again, magazines are on the big incline, right? We had 7 years ago magazines. Now there's new ones starting all the time. So right now there's about 7,000 magazines printed each month in the U.S. alone. 7,000 magazines. If each magazine just needed 10 pictures, we know they use more, but they just needed 10 pictures. How many pictures do they need each month?
A lot.
That's 70,000, right?
Yeah.
70,000 images. So you've got someone like me who knows the system. I've got the best office staff on the planet, my wife back there that's working with people, okay? And if we're really aggressive and we have a good month, we might have 100 pictures, right, in print. Does that even touch that 70,000 need? So where do those pictures come from? They come from you, right? They come from you. It's out there. It's always been out there. And there's so many people who have helped through the years who are incredibly successful. My good friend Bob, okay? Talk about esoteric. He does cranes. You know those big-ass cranes that build buildings?
Yeah.
That's what Bob does. Last year, he got 6 covers and articles on those cranes, right? It's not even like a pretty plane or a beautiful sunrise.
No,
It's
you're
a big
absolutely right.
mechanized. And then he did an article for a magazine on street sweepers, those trucks, So don't tell me you can't do it or you have to be a great salesman, because I go crazy because I have so many examples where,
We can tell.
yeah,
We got you.
you got to get it going. Anybody can do it.
No, you make a good point. Sometimes we get so caught up on like the glitz and the glamour of it, and kind of like talk about it like, well, you have to be this great
Or put up our own
salesperson.
walls.
Yeah, or that's what we're putting up those barriers. We're
Right.
going, I'm never going to be successful because, or I'm never going to do this because. It's like what you're saying is, go try it, do
And,
it.
By the way, my folder of rejection letters, it's a whole drawer in the file cabinet.
Right. Well, I like this idea about let's jump over the community, continue the conversation.
Damn
so
straight.
if KelbyOne members jump over there, I know Moose.
I
you'll
won't be there
jump
right away,
in.
but I'll be there
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy to do it.
So very cool. Well, where can people go to learn more about you, Moose?
I use the KISS theory. Keep it simple, stupid.
Okay.
Website, Moose Peterson. KelbyOne, Moose. Instagram, Moose Peterson. Twitter, Moose Peterson.
So just-
Facebook, Moose Peterson.
So just Google Moose Peterson.
The hardest thing is email. moose@moosepeterson.com.
Oh,
There you go.
There you go. Well, all right. Well, this has been a great episode.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
It's fun being here.
The Scottless episode of the great.
The Scottless.
So Scott should
We stayed on
be
track,
wrapping
guys.
up.
On track.
Yeah. Let's see.
But we went over.
Well, we went over.
Yeah,
Look at the countdown
well.
clock. We didn't hit it.
We're not
we didn't
perfect.
hit
That's
it.
okay.
So, but thanks for joining us. Let's see. Scott will be back next week.
Tomorrow I'm filming
not
a
sure.
new class.
Tim Wallace will be here. That's right.
Oh, yeah,
Tim
cool.
Wallace. Well, yeah. I mean, we got a lot of stuff coming up with KelbyOne. We got so you're doing a class,
I'm doing a class tomorrow.
and you're having a class next week. We've got Tim Wallace in. He's doing a members only webcast as well.
And those are great fun.
Yeah, and you're doing a little secret project tomorrow too. We won't talk about that yet, but and then
I'm excited.
Victor Vejas, who was on the grid, he's got a KelbyOne class coming out. Serge has got classes coming out. We just did a shoot with Tracy Sweeney. She did
Outstanding.
what was it? The newborn photography. And I saw some of the stuff from up there. I mean, and Juan was up there too, and it would look really cool.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
So we got a lot of good stuff coming out on KelbyOne the next couple of weeks.
That's because KelbyOne is the place to be.
Oh, it is. You're right. You're right. It is. But anyways, yeah. So speaking of that, we'll jump over now to the KelbyOne community and start talking about all that good stuff.
We'll see you guys on the board.
All right, we'll see you guys next week on the grid with a Scott Full episode.